Okay, we're going to quickly go through the Zolel V'Soveh Mishnah, the second Mishnah of Ben Surmureh. We're going to go through it section by section in order. At the end, we will rearrange the components to fit together in a more logical way. So, part one. Me'imatai chayav. From when is he guilty? And the answer, Mishi ochal tartimar basar, from when he eats a tartimar, half pound of meat, ve'ishteh chatzilog yain ha'itelki, and drinks a chatzilog, which is about 4 ounces of Italian wine. The Italian wine is not going to be so significant. We may talk about it, but don't get caught up in it. Rabbi Yossi Omer, manevar vasar velog yain, essentially double the amounts, 1 pound of meat and 8 ounces of Italian wine. Things to know about part one. Number one, the opening question is identical to the first Mishnah. Me ematai, followed by Mishe. But by the answer, we can see they're different questions. The answer focuses not on eligibility, but on actions. We're focused on what does a kid do that is sufficient to condemn him as a Ben Surah Moreh. Answer is eating a certain amount of meat and drinking a certain amount of wine. Rabbi Yossi says a different amount of meat and wine. Now, the debate is about amount, but more important is what they both agree on. They both presume that it's understood that we're talking about meat and wine, and the only question is exactly how much. That agreement, that presumption is going to be critical. Now we're going to leave section one. Section two, a reminder for section two, the past tense, generally in a Mishnah or a Braita, usually means a case. So we add if, the same as a statement that starts with im, right, with if. Okay? Present or future tense verbs are usually for rulings or instructions. Okay? In this case, we have a long list of ifs that are going to, at the end, be followed by one overarching then. If, then. But section two is all a list of ifs. If he ate the meat and drank the wine at a chavurat mitzvah, a mitzvah celebration, achal be'ibur hachodesh, while setting the calendar, achal ma'aser sheni b'Yerushalayim, if he ate his second tithe in Yerushalayim, that is the proper way to eat it, proper place to eat it, and therefore eating your ma'aser sheni in Yerushalayim is itself a mitzvah. So any of these things, these are all, if his eating the food and drinking the wine is part of fulfilling a mitzvah of some kind. Or group two, achal nevelot utrefot, that means animals that died a natural death or were killed by other animals, i.e. were not slaughtered with shechita, and therefore that's now the general category of non-kosher meat. Shkatim and ramasim, creepies and crawlies, is the general category of non-kosher animals. So that's group two. And now we have the general categories, essentially the summary of the list we just had. If he ate davar shehu mitzvah, he ate something that was a mitzvah, like the examples above, or something that is a sin, like the examples in section 2 above. We don't have them yet. If he ate his meat and drank his wine in any of these contexts, or one last if, notice this is one last if, but it is a different type of if. This is now section 3. That's the shift. Achal kol ma'achal. Kol here meaning any, not all. He ate any food, v'lo achal basar, any food other than meat. Shata kol mashke, drank any kind of drink, v'lo shata yain, other than wine. And now our big then. Eino na'aseh, present tense verb, ben sura moreh. He is not made or does not become a ben sura moreh. You kind of have to kind of repeat it. He does not become ben sura moreh until or unless he specifically eats meat and drinks wine. Not a ben sura moreh until he eats meat and drinks wine. Shenemar comes from the phrase in our pasuk, Zolel v'soveh. This is what the parents say about the child. He doesn't listen. He's no good. He is a Zolel v'soveh. Right? Now, this seems like a midrash. Zolel v'soveh tells us that to be a ben sura, he actually must ochel basar and shoteh yain. Right? Seems pretty straightforward. But there's something missing. How do I know there's something missing? Because the next line of the Mishnah says, even though there's no proof for the thing, there's an allusion to that thing. The thing? I don't know what thing you speak of. Look at the verse that it quotes, the verse from Mishle, from Proverbs. The verse from Proverbs says, Al tihi, don't be, besov yain, among those who are drunk on wine, bezolele basar, and those who overeat meat. Don't hang with those who get drunk on wine and overeat meat. Now, what is this an allusion to? What does this add to what we already have? Well, this is the only source that specifically connects the words zolel v'saveh to meat and wine. So this turns out to be the source for the conclusion that they don't have to eat and drink, they must specifically eat meat and drink wine. It's not a proof because A, it's from Proverbs, which is not a source for law, and B, it could be just one type of drunkard and not a definition, but it is the only other verse in Tanakh where these two terms appear together, and therefore it is a natural association to make. And of course, wine and meat are the most common things on which one would overeat and overdrink in rabbinic times. Now, we have our three sections: the machloket about amounts, the list of exceptions for mitzvah and avera, and then this last section about the meat and wine. Let's put that together in logical order. The first thing logically is just, what does our verse say? It says, Zolel v'soveh. The only thing that shows us is, to be a ben sura, he must be a glutton and a drunkard. That is a requirement. It's not just a random example. It is a requirement. It is definitional. 2, from the Proverbs verse, we learn that to being zolel v'soveh means specifically being a glutton for meat and a drunkard on wine. So now, to be a ben sura, you must not only eat and drink, but eat meat and drink wine. Back to the beginning of the Mishnah, the Tanna Kamma and Rabbi Yossi have a debate about exactly how much meat and wine. Notice they have that debate presumes the conclusion at the very end of the Mishnah, right? And having established how much meat and wine, it then goes on that middle section to note a list of exceptions, of situations where that are discounted even if he eats that proper amount. That is our Mishnah. and we will we will take it from there in conversation.